every time you come around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those times, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the hype, throw that to the side, I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, when you throw that to the side, I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. 713 through the 281, yeah, I'm riding. Why they on me? Why they on me? I'm flying, sipping low key. I'm sipping low key and honest, fine rider. I get those goosebumps every time you come around, yeah. You ease my mind, you make everything feel fine. Worry about those times, I'm way too numb, yeah. It's way too dumb, yeah. I get those goosebumps every time. I need the hype, throw that to the side. I get those goosebumps every time, yeah. When you're not around, when you throw that to the side.
Hey up! Hey up! Look at that backdrop.
You didn't notice it by now.
I'll be honest, I was on earlier and didn't even notice it. I should have. That looks class.
We made an effort. I mean, the lads went all the way. Well, Lee went all the way to the States, and Steve just met up with them out there. So yeah, we go to a bit of effort as well and dress up for the occasion. And then we had some more news along the way to add to it.
Yeah, definitely. That's for sure. But welcome. It says at the top, welcome to Loaded Mag NUFC. We've got a bit of a special tonight, a double whammy, shall we say, because not only have we got Lee from Newcastle Fans TV and Stephen joining us very shortly, Daz, we've got a new signing. He's here.
We sure do.
He's certainly on his way. And it is the main man, the new right back, Tino Livramento, and he already looks good in the kit, that's for sure. But look, what you make of it all? A little bit unexpected today when the news dropped. Would you agree or not?
I wouldn't. No, I've been expecting this for a while, but everything was lining up there with Max Irons, Southampton, and everything like that. And when the news broke today that he wasn't going to be in their squad, you know, the writing was on the wall there. He's definitely on his way to us then. No, delighted with the signing. We identified him going back with these early days of Southampton, like when he just came from Chelsea and got those first couple of games. He looked good then. Unfortunately, last season it didn't work out well for him. But no, he's going to be some player for us, I think. And look at little clips of him today. I'm sure we'll get into it in more detail, but he looks a good acquisition.
Get in. Absolutely buzzing, mate. A brilliant signing, in my opinion. But like I said, we'll get into it because we want to get the views and opinions of Lee Lawler from Newcastle Fans TV. So why not bring him in and talk a little bit more?
Here's Lee.
Hi,
welcome back, Lee.
How you doing, Harris?
Not too bad. We're not going to miss you with the yellow top on. We'll spot you from a mile away.
On the Ferrari, not that they're doing that well, but I'm a Ferrari fan.
Oh, fair play. But no,
I was in Ferrari land actually there about 2 or 3 weeks ago in Portaventura. And nice little park right beside it, Portaventura. Interesting spot as well. But, what's the visit?
There's not many Ferrari fans in the UK. They always support like a Hamilton or a George Russell, so I'm in the minority. But Newcastle is my true love, and that's why I'm delighted for you to invite us on tonight.
Always a pleasure. It's got to be 3 or 4 times now you've been on the channel. It's got to be. I think it must be 4, maybe even 5. But look, always a pleasure.
We'll get like a hat ball or something.
Yeah,
that's what I was thinking. We might. A conversation, Daz, maybe after the show.
You need to brush up on his football, lads, don't you? Let's be honest.
Whoa.
We're in.
We're not going there yet.
Early.
We will, but not yet.
Charity's only for that game. After the charity game, the banter comes out and the grief comes out.
See, our tactics went out the window. We're expecting someone else to be in goal, and then when you produced a worldly keeper in the lad you had in there, he was unreal. We're expecting you in goal, Lee. That was all our tactics was based on that.
But yeah, I was kind of playing goal, but my worries is who's producing. But I had to be that guy.
There you go. But pleasure to have you on.
He's frozen.
Yeah, he's frozen.
Pleasure to have you on, Tony. But I've been enjoying. Yeah, you're back now.
Back.
I was just going to say I've been enjoying your videos, your trip to the States, and I picked up some key questions for you along the way. We'll get to it as well, but no, great videos, and you guys produce some great content, and it was great to see Steve as well. He hasn't met it on the show yet, but it was great to get an insight from him as well.
Yeah, he's probably lying in the gutter begging for money. He looks like a homeless guy, doesn't he? So, but yeah, he's just eccentric, and yeah, I've done 23 videos out there, so we've still got 2 more to go out tomorrow. So, yeah, absolutely, loved my time out there. Had a bit of a nightmare a few times with traveling, but overall, it was fantastic to see, and I can't wait for the Champions League draw to see where we go.
Definitely. It's going to be an interesting, but look. In order to make that season fun, you've got to sign players, and we have. As we've just said, Tino Livramento is a Newcastle United player, or certainly will be very, very soon. Talks about medical being anywhere between tomorrow and Saturday morning. But as we always do with new signings, we give you the run through. So first of all, tactically, Matt, who does report on Southampton, put that he understood that Livramento wouldn't be part of the squad that plays Sheffield Wednesday in their opening championship game. And that sparked a lot of rumours off right from the off. That was after the press conference. And then it was Lyle Taylor really that brought it to the forefront a few hours ago when he said that the deal had been agreed. Very, very quickly, the big guns, David Ornstein, and of course, Fabrizio Romano, here we goes, all over the shop with regards to Livramento. And then our local boys, Pete Graves, confirms the deal. And Craig Hope not only confirms that the deal is in place and that there'll be a medical, but also mentions that there isn't the 40 million that everybody's reported, that actually it's more so around the 30 million. And of course, Mark Douglas mentions that the deal is in place there as well. But Lee, we'll get your thoughts on all things Tino Livramento. What do you make of the deal, and is it the right deal for Newcastle at this point in the window?
I think it tells me, first of all, he doesn't trust the backups behind Kieran Trippier. And we're stacked with them now. I know Harrison Ashby is literally about to join Swansea because they've accidentally released the shirt number on their website. So he'll be wearing number 30. So that's going to happen. And then I think Mankiw will probably out of the 2 because I reckon he likes Kraft more. Mankiw will probably go. So it tells you that we've got 4 or 5 right backs and he's still not happy. But in terms of Livramento, yeah, he was a Chelsea boy, wasn't he? He was on their ranks and you nearly signed a contract, but they didn't come to fruition. And then he joined Southampton. Had a fantastic first season, breakout season, unbelievable. And I didn't know much about him. I thought, who's this Italian kid? Because it sounds like an Italian. It does, doesn't it? It sounds like an Italian name, but I've London boy, but he's got a Scottish mum and like a Portuguese dad, so he can play for like 3 countries. Fantastic breakout season. I got it in England in the 21s and then suffered that horrible injury. It was an ACL, wasn't it, towards the end of that season? And he's only just at the end of the back end of the season just gone. Got back into football, so he had a full year out. So hopefully that's just a one-off. But it's a signing I think it'll be a signing gradually for the first team. I don't think it'll be straight in. I think he will be an understudy to Trippier. But then again, we do have this left-back problem. Trippier could move over during a game to left-back and bring him on to substitute a right-back. That's another option as well. But it's positive. It's for the long term. I think it is long term Trippier's replacement because Trippier's going to hit 33 this season. So how many years is left in him? But I still think Trippier's number 1 and Livramento will eventually take his role over the next 2 to 3 years. But it's a good signing. And I don't think it's all the money up front. I think this has been structured. I think it's been partial payments over a set period. Because splashing out that kind of money in one hit is quite a risk for a lad who's played one game in a year.
Yeah.
I think it's a really, really interesting point about the structure of the deal. The one thing that a lot of fans outside of Newcastle didn't realise that there's a 40 million sell-on to Chelsea. So Chelsea get a huge chunk of that and will benefit for that. And I think that's why it's taken so long to get the deal done. The second thing is that, Southampton didn't want this sort of money for Livramento. I think they would have quite happily, without the Chelsea situation, sold him for about 15, 20 million. But I think you're absolutely right, Lee, in terms of the structure. There will be a structure there with regards to how much we pay. I think David in the chat has put, Mark Douglas said Tino is 30 million plus 5 with Champions League performances in there as well. So those little add-ons will determine, ultimately what you're saying, Lee, in terms of, how many performers will determine how much money Southampton get. But the interesting thing was, Daz, is that Sky said, Southampton are confident that Livramento will achieve those kind of increments, and Southampton are confident that they'll get the full amount of money from him. One thing I'll ask you is that lots of other fans outside of Newcastle are referring to his ACL injury, which he missed the whole of last season with. Like, for you, is that been in the back of your mind, or is that been a concern for you with regards to this deal over the last 3-4 weeks?
No, I did see he came back and played a few games towards the end of the season, and I know that the medical will be thorough on him as well. So no, that doesn't worry me so much. One thing that just kind of touching on what Lee said then about coming in as right back, but he also can play left back. Like Trippier, he can play left back, because we had Mike from the Southampton channel Match Day Vlogs on with this when the news first broke about a month ago, and he was indicating that as well. So he's an option, both of our options, and I suppose backup for Burn slash Target as well, or Alex Murphy. But so. Yeah, it's a good acquisition for us, and you'd wonder now, and I know someone had it in the chat as well. Do we look towards the left back now, or do we forget about the wing backs and just concentrate on that right-sided centre back now? I'd say that's probably where they will look next. And there's some rumours going on. Even Sam mentioned it today in the Newcastle Fans TV video that right centre back would be the target now, and there's some rumours being floated around, I guess.
Yeah, definitely. Well, actually, just to add to that, going back to what Mark Douglas said, with his point, he almost says. This to a point, he says, really good player, another long-term target, referring to Livramento, and as reported last week, believes that they still want more after this one's completed. For you, what are you looking for, Lee, with regards to Livramento? What are the key aspects that you expect from Livramento over the course of just his first season? Think about this season in isolation. What are you expecting from him in a Newcastle shirt?
I'd be very surprised if he's not more than just a squad player at this present stage, where, Daz mentioned you fill over at left back. So if Dan Burn, again, Trippier can go over there. You'll start the odd cup game as well. If we're already qualified in the Champions League, he might play the last game in the group stage or whatever. If we're dropping in the Europa League, I think he'll play more times there. I think he'll be a squad player. I'm not expecting him to come bang, there's 30, 40 games. I think he'll start probably 15, 20 at most, and the rest will be 5 to 10 minutes sub appearances here and there. But I think it's a sign for the future in terms of where we are at the club at the minute. I think Trippier's too good to take out that side, even though at his age, he's fantastic just on and off the pitch. You've seen the videos, you've seen how he acts, how he just conducts himself as a human being. And I think Trippier is literally going to play 95% of our games, unless it's a meaningless, and not meaningless, that's not the word, but against a lesser opposition, or if there's rotation, especially December where we've got like 8 or 9 games, that's where I'll see. But Look, I'm very optimistic. As I say, his breakthrough season, he was absolutely brilliant for Southampton. Southampton are really hard at negotiation. You just got to look at the Ward-Prowse situation as well. They're trying to get loads of money out of some of their better players as well. So the bargaining, don't get me wrong, they're doing hard negotiations. So, but I'm not expecting too much from him as of yet. And I think also you've just got to remember his age. Look how young he is. He's a lot younger than the other signings that we've made this summer. So we'll have to see, but I think he'll be a squad player.
Definitely. I'll put these on the screen because these came out today from The Athletic. Jacob Whitehead put these out, and I thought they were really, really interesting stats with regards to Livramento. All forward carries 20 yards, including those ending with a chance created in the Premier League, 21-22. Now, we have to remember that he did miss last season with an ACL. He only literally played a few minutes here and there in the last 2 games of the season. That's all he contributed to Southampton, but he is back fit, and I'm sure the medical will be extensive. But you can see here, those forward carries to chance created. You can tell how attacking he is in his position, and how much he gives going forward. Lots of attacking movements, lots of direct movements, all aimed towards that right-hand side, whipping balls in and linking the play. But the one thing that surprised me about this is the defensive side of things as well.
Yeah.
And they also talked about, Livramento's tackles and interceptions for Southampton in the Premier League in that same season. Like, I don't know whether that surprised you, Daz, but it certainly surprised me because I always saw him as this marauding, attacking, full-blooded fullback that just loved to get forward. But actually, he looks a little bit more the full package in that he's actually got everything to his game that you would want in a fullback already at 20 years old. What do you think?
Well, now that he was officially signed, I did move back to my Dennis Wise YouTube scouting again, and I wrote down a few things. But said reads the game well, has pace, he regains possession of the ball in awkward positions, and he can take a man on as well. And he does look quality. I was just thinking to myself, what is Eddie Howe looking for? Why has he? I'm going to say gambled in some way, sense, because that injury it might be, as we highlighted, it's a concern to some, but he's been rigid in making sure he gets Tino Livramento. He hasn't gone far in and to bring in someone else. He's gone all out to get him. So that's really what he wants. So yeah, but linking in, I was after I did my YouTube scout and I saw that thing from Jacob as well. I said, yeah, that's right, Jacob, on the ball.
You've mentioned an interesting point before, Daz, with regards to not just his ability, but you talked about earlier his versatility. In that actually he was a right centre back beforehand, and he has played in that position when he was a little bit younger. Lee, do you think we would consider playing him in that position at some point in the season, or are you of the mindset, like you'd mentioned before, that we have to get or we need to look at sort of a right centre back?
Depends on the game and the situation. As I say, if it's a cup game against, I don't know, League Cup against Preston or someone like that, yeah, I don't mind that. I think with the signing with Livramento, I think Eddie Howe, look at the players he's improved. I think Eddie Howe's pretty confident, him and his scouting team, and the likes of Mad Dog, Simon Weatherstone, etc. Graham Jones can improve the lad. I think you look at majority of the squad have improved under Eddie Howe, so I think that will be the versatility thing is really good. I think he likes it. I think Anthony Gordon will be used in a lot of roles this season because you can play left, right, up, even as a second striker. So I think he's looking for a few where they can play across the back. Look, injuries are going to happen at some point. Down the years has proven for the last 20 years, we always get crippled with injuries. So yeah, I can see it, but predominantly I think he is going to be signed naturally as a right back, and then he can fill in other roles. But at the moment, the centre back issue, I don't think there's a massive issue there. I think other problems across the summer where we've signed Tonali, and that centre midfield is probably the best since the Keegan years for me. That centre midfield, how many options he's got, and obviously he's brought in Harvey Barnes as well for that left wing position and got rid of ESM. But yeah, I can see him playing across the back in lesser games, but not the big boys. I'd be shocked, and in fact, I'll go on record saying that.
Yeah, no, I'm inclined to agree with you. I think although he can play there and he is versatile, I think he'll play on that right hand side. I actually think he'll play more than we expect. I've got a feeling that Trippier is going to be managed this season. I think Trippier will play in all the big games, as you kind of alluded to, but I do think that Livramento will play a lot more minutes than we expect him to.
Sorry, what does he do with Krath then? Because I think Krath will play now he's back. I think it's Manquillo's the one who's going to be suffered.
It's an interesting one. I think we all expect Manquillo to move on. Before the window shuts. I think that's a given. What's interesting though is that Kraft has only got a year left on his contract. So I think, in my opinion, Daz, that you might think differently. I think we will kind of leave Kraft as a third choice and play here and there, maybe the cup games, or maybe give an opportunity here and there to be that third choice backup that Manquillo was last season, effectively. But I do think that Livramento is better than both of them. They're not just better, a complete upgrade. But Daz, what do you think? You know, I think it's a really interesting point. Kraft being thrown into that equation.
I'd kind of forgotten about Kraft for even though he's coming back, but it's what Kraft comes back as well. Like, if you remember, under Bruce, he was awful, but under Eddie Howe, he was becoming a really good player for us. Just unfortunate with the injury, but I feel more confident going into the season because we have so many players that you wince every time they go down and go, oh, not them. It can't be them. They can't get injured. And Trippy is definitely one of them because, as well as being absolutely unbelievable at right back and free kicks, and it's just the passion he brings, the leadership he brings, and it's just okay. We'd still miss the leadership qualities, but we'd have a decent player going in there instead of him in Livramento. So I'm not going to be as worried. So, but I think he'll get some game time as well, Pete. To tell you the truth, and Eddie will spare Trippier a bit and like take him off at times if we go 2-0 up. Let's say it's a safe bet bringing on Livramento. He's not going to cost us 2 goals kind of thing. So he can relax him a bit. And with all the games we're going to have next year, he's going to need to do something to mind him.
Yeah, definitely. That's more than a fair point. I think Kev, I think you've just gone past it a second ago, Daz. Kev T put, with regards to his ACL that we raised earlier. The ACL was not a big worry. Ashira, Van Dijk, Van Nistelrooy, Xavi, Zlatan. This lad is a great signing. Bale is the great comparison. And I think we talked about
Callum Wilson as well, I think.
Callum Wilson, yeah. Very much close to home. You got Tim Krul, who's still playing. He suffered an ACL on international duty when he was a Newcastle player. All these players have come back and done well. And the one thing I'll add to what Kev said, I agree, in that he's 20 years old and you naturally recover a lot quicker from injuries when you're a young player. So the likelihood of him making a full recovery is definitely a lot higher than that. That's for sure. But look, we'll come back to Tino Livramento and continue to talk about him and look where we're going to go next. But of course, it would be rude not to touch on the fact that you have been on your jollies as such, venturing around the world, Lee, supporting Newcastle and following them near and far. Look, I want you to kind of give us a little flavour. I know if anyone's not watched the videos on Newcastle Fans TV, Daz, I know you have as well. You've watched them. Just give us a little flavour of what this trip entailed. I mean, first of all, what was your experience like going to the places that you went to? The people. We've got some pictures that we'll kind of throw up as you're going along, but just give us a flavour of what this tour of America was this time for you.
So this is my third time going to America, but this was the first time following Newcastle in America. So in terms of America in general, the service is a lot slower than the UK. That's probably me a slight frustration. It's very slow paced. Every single flight I had issues with, whether it was delayed or cancelled, and then I had to jump on an 18-hour bus with a madman alongside me. So that was testing, shall I say? It's been polite. The thing that they do well is the tailgate. I didn't know much about tailgates because I don't watch NFL. I don't know anything about it. But what they do is they just drive the cars near the stadium into a car park, and it's like an open barbecue with loads of cars, and they play games, and you can grab free beers, and it's just totally different. And I liked it. I thought that's something that could be brought into England, because it's something that they do really well. They do really, really well at it. And maybe when I don't know if that's going to be allowed in the new fan zone outside St. James's, probably not, because obviously laws and all that sort of stuff. But that was an eye opener. I enjoyed that. The heat was something, shall I say? The coolest day I had out there was 34 degrees, but that's 34 degrees with humidity. So the stadiums, the first one, you can tell it's not a football stadium in Philadelphia in the Lincoln Financial Field. It was very open. You can see there in the picture, I was in the heat, and it was like, yeah. And even Steve next to me, he's American, he was feeling it as well. So that was difficult.
That's for the Villa game, right?
That was for the first game, yeah, the double header. So it got a little bit cooler because we were starting to go in the evening game. And
water is cheap over there, Lee, is it?
Do you know what it is? The prices of everything over there is probably depends which stadium. The Philadelphia is probably the same as St. James's in terms of price, and the Atlanta experience that's what I enjoyed the most. I was there for 3 days. Obviously, they've got a proper football team in Atlanta United. They've got a hardcore set of fans, and obviously we were meeting up with Shea Given and Shola Miobi and all the fan events and everything. And I took more from it, probably from the Atlanta experience, because obviously I know a couple of our subscribers who I met up, especially Jay. I think I've just seen him in the comments, Jay in Atlanta. He was really kind to us as well, upgraded our seats to VIP. There he is. He in the stadium in Atlanta is it's the best stadium in the world, period. Everybody talks about, Spurs Stadium. It's got not one Spurs. It blows Spurs away. The way I can describe it, there you go. It looks like a spaceship, but when you're inside the spaceship, think of having loads of fresh aircon, and then you've got a football pitch in the middle, but on the outside you've got 2 or 3 levels of just shops, restaurants, food going all the way around. It's a bit like going to the Metro Centre, right, with a football pitch in the middle. That's how I can describe it. It's the only way I can describe it. It's so weird but wonderful. It's by far the best football stadium by a mile. That was fantastic. And the thing that they do well there is that if you buy a cup of Coke for $2, you get your refills for free. And that I know that's so simple, but that blew my mind. It was like, what? It's like it's £3 a pop at St. James's and £3 again, and another 3. Next thing you know, it's like I just kept going back. It was so hot. I know I had the aircon. I just kept going back and back with the refills, and that was something. Going across to New York, obviously we were really tired because I had my flight cancelled at 9 o'clock at night, so we weren't very happy. So I had to jump on a course for 18 hours, and we went through. What states did we go? I've lost track how many there were. South Carolina, North Carolina.
Yeah. I saw your track. South Carolina, North Carolina. Is it Virginia?
Yeah, we stopped in Washington, Pennsylvania, and then we got to Manhattan, and I got my hotel, had a shower because I felt rotten, and then went to the Red Bulls. I've been to the Red Bulls Arena before, so I know what to expect. So that is a football built stadium.
We knew you were shattered, Lee. We knew you were shattered.
That's actually in Washington. That picture where we slept. I only slept for about an hour and a half, so I had a really, really tiring day. But yeah, it's a football stadium. It gives me Leicester City vibes, how it is. But yeah, I've been there before, and that was a good night. And Steve just went absolute mental, took his shirt off and screaming and all that. And Darren Eales was only like 78 rows behind, but loving it. Darren Eales officially loves Steve. Just went crackers, and he talks to anybody. And I obviously this is a big thing and this is probably another thing I took away, not to Steve, but a lot of the Americans don't often see Newcastle, whereas we take it for granted. We love our away days. A lot of Newcastle fans talk about away days. But this is like a new thing for them because they've missed it. Some of them haven't seen games ever. Like Steve's never been to a Newcastle game. He's had 3 in a week. Some haven't seen Newcastle for 10 years, 20 years. And there's just, the thing is, they're just as passionate as us. The only thing that they lack is they don't have Newcastle United in their city. And it doesn't matter where you're on the world, just because you can't get to the game, it doesn't make you less of a fan. So they put a lot of money into merchandise. They put a lot of money into traveling. People come from Los Angeles. That's the other side of, the States, traveling over. So meeting up with fellow fans, they know all the songs, just not with the Geordie accent. It just sounds a bit odd with the extra R's and A's in the words. Like how are the lads and all. I was like, what is that? But yeah, they get all the. But yeah, they loved it, and I got stopped tons of times. I was with Adam P quite a lot as well. You sat with me quite often. We're often bumping each other. It's just weird that we're bumping each other, and there we are. We're having a pint together, and we're bumping each other at airports randomly and across the city. And I must have seen Adam about 6 or 7 times that week. Obviously, we're quite pally with Adam, so he enjoyed his time out there as well. But yeah,
just ask a question there, Lee, because that was one of my questions I was gonna. So yeah, I know you bumped into all the journos as well on one of the flights over as well. I think it was Keith Downey and Craig Hope, and a few of them were all on the same flight at one stage.
They're all on a budget cheap flight, which made me laugh. So that goes to show you that their bosses aren't paying the top dollar for their flights. Yeah, so less said of Spirit Airlines, the better, because I'm not very happy with them for obvious reasons. But yeah, all of the journals were on, seen plenty of them. I must have seen Keith about 4 or 5 times out there. Introduced them a lot of fans who loved them as well. So yeah, obviously Keith worked at Sky like I do. So yeah, it was just a fantastic weekend. It's an appetite that wait for the Champions League draw to see who we get. Obviously, it'll be less traveling because it'll only be 2 or 3 hours away on a flight. But if whoever we get, I mean, I'll be furious if we get Rangers. I'll be fucking livid if we get Rangers. I don't want to drive to a Champions League game. I want to be on a flight, and I'll be there for
6 points though. 6 points guaranteed, maybe.
Yeah, maybe, but I'd rather have 4 points somewhere else in a European destination or somewhere like that. I'm looking forward to the Champions League draw because that's just a taste, and hopefully I can bring some more of the lads that come with us as well, because it's a lot of the time it's either me or me and plus one, which was Steve this time, but hopefully we'll see them abroad in the Champions League games as well. But yeah, loved it.
Brilliant stuff. I've got a couple of questions with regards to your trip. Obviously, you spent a little bit of time in Philly to begin with, at the head house, if that's right, and you got to meet loads of fans there, and obviously you got to mingle. I'm not gonna lie, it was a brilliant watch to see this unfold. How many fans came together, and how great yourself and a number of others that travelled from Newcastle integrated yourselves with the American fans as well. And even better to have these boys there, Shola and Shane. You'll be able to see them in the previous picture here that you had. How good is that we're able to put on fantastic meetups where fans from all over the world can come and kind of come together, and how great was it for you? I know you've talked about the fans already from an American point of view, but how amazing was it that you were all able to connect so well in a completely different part of the world?
I think it helps. Obviously, I know it's going to sound very, very cheesy, but we are all literally united because we've all got one common goal, which is following Newcastle United, whether it's on the telly or whether it's in person. So that picture doesn't give it justice because there was more fans there. Just that was probably taken a good 20 minutes, half an hour after the pub, because obviously Shane and Shola were doing all the photos and that. But having them out there was fantastic. Obviously, it's bringing back former players that welcome them back. I think Warren Barton was at the Philly game as well. Yeah. It's fantastic to see Shane. Obviously, I was in the fan events before, just flying out, and Shola interviewed Shola on a double-decker bus, which was a few years ago, and you made a joke about that as well, so that was good crack for Coca-Cola. And obviously, I went to Shane. I went, "Hello, Shane," and he just looked at me and went, "Newcastle Fans TV," and I went, "Aye, that's me, Shane." Put a face to the picture. But yeah, it was good. It was good for the Americans meeting them as well. Pictures and. Because some of them would have been their heroes when they were younger. So especially people who are probably around about my age, mid-30s, even possibly even to the fans that are mid-40s. Shea Given was playing for us 20 years ago, so they would have been young and that would have been their hero because And obviously there's a lot of jokes about the Mackhams, of course, so I bang them in, which went down well at almost every venue. But yeah, it was great to connect. It was nice for us because we got stopped about 200 times out there, with just so many times in. Your channel's great. What you do is fantastic. Cool. Other channels as well. Going to matches, that was nice. That was a nice thing, because I get that in England, but nowhere near like I did in the States, which is strange, considering I'm at every game. But maybe people are scared of approaches. I don't know. But that was good. Learning from them why they support the club, what their background is. A lot of them have family, like maybe it was the dad who was brought from Gateshead or Newcastle or Durham or whatever. A lot of that's why they support Newcastle. I think one of them had a honeymoon in Newcastle. Where I went, what? You had a honeymoon in Newcastle? Why? And yeah, so his wife bought him a present. It was a honeymoon in Newcastle. I went, why? I mean, Newcastle 20 years ago, it was just, you had the tuxedo boat and a bit of football. Apart from that, what did you have? Because the Angel of the North wasn't there.
No. Yeah, Baja Beach Club. Yeah, you know.
Except from the ball clubs, that's what I'm saying. Except from the boat, the football, and the pubs, clubs, what you got? Well, the bloody bridge wasn't there, you know. The none of these fancy statues were around and out, but yeah, it was really, really good, and it opened my eyes a bit. And because you get that stigma of American soccer, and you know, and they don't know anything. They're a bit silly. They don't know our sport. Let me tell you, the platoon fans that were out there, because there is that stereotype. And I take the mickey out with Steve, and I go, hey, the soccer goal, back of the D net, and all. I'll say that randomly to him. Extension goal, header, overhead kick, and I go like them, just to wind them up. But obviously, they are a lot knowledgeable about it, which opened my eyes a little bit more than all the players. It's not massive over there because they've got baseball, the NFL, and the NBA. Of course, they're the big three sports, but it is grown massively, especially with all the franchises left, right, and center. And now you've got obviously Messi over there as well. He was talked about quite a bit. And I think we were over there for that free kick in the last minute, and he's just went. And I think we watched the game where he scored a couple more on the next game as well. So it is getting bigger. And it'll be interesting to see where the club pick their next destination, because they've done Saudi a couple of times, they've done the US. It'll be interesting if they do somewhere like South Africa, or go Australia or somewhere.
You'll have to go to Singapore, Lee, because in the airport in Singapore, they also have a train in the airport. Because you're fascinated by that.
I thought you'd bring this up. Yeah. I was blown away by it. I mean, I've been to Gatwick and I didn't see it, so I see the train. I was like, they've got a train in the airport. I got proper. You should have seen it off camera, because on camera I'll try and tone it down a little bit. I was like, wow, they've got a train. They've got like 5-6 stops and all this stuff. And Steve was just looking at us thinking, what are you doing? This is mintness. And then obviously I got excited because we had a swimming pool outside, literally outside the hotel room. They've got a, and I learned that they've got one at JFK as well. And I flew from JFK a couple of times. They've got a train there, and I didn't even know. So there we go. Yeah,
there's Steve carrying around his keyboard from state to state wherever he goes.
He's carrying this big, massive keyboard around him, and I was like, Steve, why you got a big keyboard? Apparently, buttons are stuck or don't work or something. And I just thought, why don't you use like buy a little one or use your phone? You know, you can sync your phone up, and I'd it's just
We've got 280 in the chat. If any of you 280 haven't watched the Newcastle Fans TV videos of Lee and Stephen's adventures in America, you need to go back and watch it, because it'll be highly entertaining.
Yeah,
but what I will
just
say
before one sec, Pete, because one of my first questions I was going to ask you guys, but I was going to wait till Steve hopped on, but it was like, are you guys still talking to each other? Because it looked like you're killing each other on the trip, and that's the funny part of watching all the episodes that have gone up.
You're probably telling the video where, at certain points I'm holding the camera up, fixing it, and all this. Sort of, you might be able to pick up little stuff like this. I'm like, right, you're pointing at the feet to pick it up. Yes, speaking is the answer.
Good.
It's the first time away, so I felt like I was the dad, and I mean that in the nicest way possible. Because that's the first time he's been away, so he was following me and I was guiding him where we're going and all this sort of stuff. So, but yeah, very, very passionate bloke. Well, you can't deny that. You've seen that Red Bulls game, bloody hell. I mean, if that's a friendly, what's it going to be like for a league game or a competitive game? Jesus, good luck to the person sitting next to him.
Probably be you next time. But what I was going to say is that we've got over 300 in the chat, and with that, there's a question that I wanted to ask both of you, Lee and Daz, but also everyone in the chat to answer. I kind of touched on it a little bit last night, but you've brought it to the forefront when you've been explaining and discussing your sort of journey. You talked about the Mercedes-Benz Stadium in particular and how amazing it was. And you gave us the spiel just not long ago about, all the other features, not just the actual football stadium itself, but what else it offered. It goes back to the discussion at the moment with regards to, and we're not going to talk about ticketing as such, but fitting as many Geordies into St. James's Park or a stadium at some point. Are you of the mindset, and this is to everyone right now, are you of the mindset, because of the issues with how big our stadium is at the moment, that we need to look at eventually in the near future moving to a new stadium that can hold more Newcastle United fans, but also offer something like what the Mercedes-Benz Stadium offers up in Newcastle? I want to get your thoughts. People in the chat, put your thoughts in there with what you think, but I want to get your opinions on this. So, Lee, I'll start with you, then I'll come to you, Dan, with regards to your thoughts on that. Where are you at with regards to the Newcastle Stadium situation based on what you've seen in America?
If we move, I'll lose a connection with the club. Not all of it, but I think it would put a bit of dagger in my heart. Not saying I'm a vampire, I'm going to die, or anything like that. I just think that St. James's Park, I say it because it's literally next to my work. I can't escape it. But I think that's our identity, and I think we can't lose that. A lot of clubs have. You look at even the Emirates. You look at West Ham; they haven't gotten it. I know they've won a cup, but a lot of their fans feel a disconnect with the stadium. I don't want that. I get the facilities do need improved, but money does talk, and I think that they are looking, and especially the fans and I think financial fair play will help with that to bring more money in, because obviously the stack is going to go in there, and the stack are obviously effectively leasing the land off us because it's our land, it's the club's land now, and there'll be obviously a lot more bars there open. And hopefully it's like a not just a match day thing. I hope it's all the venues on the fan zone are open all the way through the week, because it's extra revenue. It's more jobs for the city as well, which helps. In terms of the extension, obviously it's the Gallagher. That needs to come out, but money does talk. And can we go and buy? It's difficult because then the one directly behind the long one has been there longer than St. James's Park. That housing with all the students. The one right next to it is a grade 2, if I'm not mistaken. That could be removed. I think money talks, and look, it doesn't hit financial fair play if we were to buy them buildings and knock them down. I think it has to be the East Stand to then go up as well. People talk about the rotating of the stadium and what have you. The whole ticketing thing is very, very complicated. You can't please everybody, no matter what situation you're in. I'm lucky I'm at every game. I've got plenty of points. But there's some parts that, I'm not happy with either, and you guys won't be happy with. You can't please everybody. But I like the fact that they came out, especially Darren Neal came out very quickly and said, look, we listened. We've dropped the price a little bit. It's not ideal, but it's better. Because that was the first big probably issue that they've had with fans, the first disagreement. But there will be some more. I think there will be some more small heartaches, but for the greater good though, because the way they'll look at it and think, okay, if we're going to charge you X, Y, and Z, we're going to guarantee European football every season. I don't mind paying a little bit more for my season ticket to do that, but it's going to upset somebody with the ballots and the stadium side of things. And to play devil's advocate, in 10 years' time, say these owners give up in Newcastle, move on, we could be stuck with a stadium that we can't fill. I'm not saying Mike Ashley's going to come round and buy us again, but we've seen it under Ashley. It just takes one bad owner to take people out the door. So if we were to expand the stadium, come 10, 15 years, we've got a bad owner, it could be the reversed. So I think you've just got to gradually, I think that East Stand is the way forward, and get that up by an extra 10,000. And then take it from there. I think it's a poisonous challenge, because a lot of fans want to get inside, and obviously we've got the support all the way around the world, but even just local, we're the biggest local supported side all the way down from probably from Durham all the way to the Scottish border. local fans. So we've got a massive collection of local fans, never mind people like yourself, people Leicester and Daz over Ireland, and then people who want to come over. And I think the membership side of things does help international fans as well. It doesn't really help the local fans. So it's a complicated one. But for me, if you move St. James's Park, yes, we might have fancy stuff, but I will lose a little bit of connection with my club. I think that will happen naturally.
Interesting from yourself, Lee. Daz, have you got a similar opinion, or is your mindset slightly different?
Well, first of all, I got distracted when Lee was talking because I was infiltrated by a whole lot of cows and hats emojis in the chat. It's something that happened on Tune Review that carried forward until loaded, but great to have everyone on board and great to see. I see the main man is there himself, Paul, and I see Stado in the chat as well, and a whole load of the crew there. So
cows going past your window or something.
I didn't know what was happening for a while. I was like, what's going on here? I asked for zebras because zebras are our emoji. But I would be similar, not as strongly as Lee, tell you the truth. But yeah, I don't want us to move from St. James's Park. But if it comes to I want to see what they do with the stacked and how it's going to be over 3 years or so, and what they do with the extension, how they can do something there. And I know we've talked about videos as well, Peter, stuff and you of what they're going to try and do with the east stand and maybe kind of a glass roof so that the light gets in and blah blah blah, and they could build on a bit there. So, try all avenues first. But if all those avenues don't work out, and we're still in a situation where there's just madness for tickets and it gets bigger and bigger and bigger, then you may have to start thinking outside the box. But my first goal, I want us to stay at St. James's Park. You would lose something. It's just like everyone has it. Like everyone remembers their first time going to St. James's Park and heading up a hill of some sort, and to get there, and you just did when it hits you. That's it, so no, I don't want to lose that. So, but we'll see how it plays out.
Yeah, definitely. Lots of different opinions with regards to the stadium. Some are saying, they would stay at St. James's Park. They're happy with where they are. Some are saying that they would want to move to a new stadium to facilitate more fans in the stadium, but also add kind of modern element that a lot of these modern stadiums, obviously the Mercedes-Benz Stadium we talked about, Lee, as well. For me, I would want to stick with St. James's Park, providing that we can develop on the Gallagher and the East Stand. If we could make them as big as what the Lees is, for example, and we've seen those images before where all 4 stands are the same size, same design, the same height, all the rest of it, and we're producing a stadium there that's around 75,000. Why is there a need to move if we could do that? But if we can't, and those restrictions, like you said, on those sort of like listed buildings, particularly the grade 2 ones right behind the East Stand, because the grade 1 buildings are kind of on the edge where the Strawberry Corner is, and slightly part of the East Stand that it takes up. So you could potentially move those, but it would still have a massive impact on the East Stand for the rest of it. If we could find a way around that, great. But if we can't, we're always going to be limited to a small number of improvements that we can make at St. James's Park. One person asked, can we not switch the angle of St. James's Park? Has been a discussion for years now of whether we could do that. I'm no architect. I've got no idea. I think Mirdad Gadusi is one, and that's probably his expertise. But I think there could be ways around it. But if not, it has to be a conversation. Sorry, go on.
Sorry, Peter, but it is on the mind, because if you look at the stadium now, there's already changes happening. You look at the real standings. You look at the Lees end where they're trying to put posh seats in there. You look at obviously the moving the Shearer statue. You look at just cleaning it up a little bit, looking after it. They are very serious about what we see as fans, and there is designs. But even Amanda Staveley said on record, she had a conference meeting. Was about 4 or 5 months ago. The catering is appalling at the ground. I don't buy anything because I'm very picky with my food, but it's not great. but if that needs to be improved. I think all the shops inside, and it's at the end of the day, it's about money. Let's face it, it's about money. What can the club get in with money? What I do fear is that ticket prices will keep going up because we can't get more in. It has to be, we have to get the money in somehow, and that'll affect the fans, which the owners don't want to do. You've already seen the unrest the last couple of weeks with the prices going up, and obviously the ballots, and obviously that's one way to make money, is because they've got like how many 98,000 or something daft like that memberships, and that's just money for the club. It's a way to come in, but it's going to upset fans because not everyone's going to be at the games. And then people who are at the games, if we can't, if Newcastle are competing regularly, Champions League or Europa League, whatever, someone has to pay for them players. I know TV contracts do, and etc., and Sky and BT and or TNT now or whatever. But ideally, it will come to the fans as well. It's not just the TV contracts. The prices of, like I mentioned, like you can buy a bottle of Coke for £2 and refill it unlimited at Atlanta. Newcastle might have to charge an extra 50 pence for a bottle of Coke because that'll bring more revenue. It's effectively down to money. And also, if they were to allow to extend that East Stand, we will have to reduce the capacity for a period of time. That's a lot of people are forgetting for safety measures. So you might, if you're pulling that East Stand out, you might have to say to them, people in the East Stand, thanks, but no thanks, you can't come this season, or we'll have to move you, because that, for health and safety, that's going to take, 8,000, 10,000 away for at least a season, for that to be pulled out, or 2 seasons or whatever. That's going to cause unrest, but it's for the greater good.
Great point, Lee, and one that not many have mentioned, the fact that, to expand the stadium, you do lose capacity for a period of time. Right. That's just the reality of it, and that would cause even more unrest for however long that potentially takes. But yeah, a really interesting point, and lots of different points in the chat, and thank you for all your points, and thank you for all your zebras. So I think it's the first time I've ever said that, because I'm usually the one who want to see a zebra. Leads onto it. Well, let's get magpies on there instead. Let's see if we can get a magpie emoji on there instead of a zebra, or something other than a zebra. But yes, there are lots of caps on there. Alex did drop me a message and explain why. Something on their channel. I love it. But yeah, they thank you for bringing that to Loaded, and I'm sure that probably won't be the last time we see it on our channel. And there go the zebras there. Bring back the zebras, Lisa.
I asked for the zebras, so I saw all these cows and hats. I was like, what's happening? So, yeah, sorry, that's probably my fault.
Remember that Farm Bill?
Yeah, yes.
On Facebook.
Actually, I have a LinkedIn question here, Lee. As you're from your flight over from Manchester to Dublin, you mentioned that you're playing a bit of Football Manager. So tell us who you're managing. I presume it's Newcastle, or how's that going for you?
Yeah, I played on the way back. I've got a vlog coming out, returning back from JFK, and I played on that. Managed Newcastle, so I've just won what's the word for 5 trophies? Quintuple? On 5 out of 6, I got beat in the finals. So my team's like ridiculous at the minute. So I'm a bit like, Antoine Griezmann. You ever seen that clip where he's on the aeroplane?
Yes, he was Mbappe.
That's like me playing Football Manager, and I'm like 20 years ahead now, and it's getting a bit boring because I'm just winning everything. So whatever side I put out, I'm winning like 4-0 and 5-0. So I might restart.
I think I'm like 13, 14 years in with Newcastle, and I've won the league like 6 years in a row. And I'm doing a Dan Ashworth. I'm putting all the next generation young talents in, and they're just absolutely smashing it. And I think I'm ready. I'm ready to go back to scratch again.
The new version is going to allow you to continue your save from one version to the next. So you'll be able to, let's say, go from the next one that comes out, you'll be able to play it on the next version again. So
I think they're bringing out the women's as well, aren't they, for the first time?
Yeah.
What was that one? What was that? What's the new feature?
Bringing out the women's side, like the WSL and Football Manager and stuff. I think that'll be a good opener. Good, and Tyson, and enhance that game.
Definitely. Football manager talk. We should have a further talk after around football manager.
Actually, another question for you, Lee, related to your trip this time. Alan P, Keith Downey, and Craig Hope all ran up the steps in Philly to do the Rocky celebration. You missed a trick there, or are you just on a different level?
It was my idea first. I told all of our lads in WhatsApp, I'm going to do the Rocky. And what we're going to do, I was going to challenge Steve for the time. And then we're both, he was going to run up, then I was going to run up and see who came out and then we'll do a forfeit. But because I got delayed going there, I didn't get there till Saturday night. I seen Keith put one out on Saturday night. I seen Adam put one out on Saturday night. Went, you fucking bastards! You've stolen my idea. Aren't you fucking bastards? So then next day it's match day, and obviously I had the fan events. I couldn't do it. So I'm like, great, that opportunity had gone. So yeah, they stole my ideas. Yes,
you got the fountains in though. That was your little piece.
Oh, well, we were going through the Liverpool Park. Yeah, that was just daft. That was just a daft little video where, because it was red hot, man. It was like 39 degrees with no pressure. I couldn't cope, man. And this tan is actually natural as well. It was the first time I can say this. It's not a sunbed or anything. That's a natural tan from America. So I'm buzzing about that.
Lovely. Brilliant stuff. Any questions in the chat for Lee?
Yeah, there are. We'll go back to them now. Okay, someone. Andy asked first, are we sponsored by Aquafresh with the background? No, just our tribute towards the USA. Yes, one here for Jory.
I wonder if he's referring to Rapid Aquarium video out today. With me and Steve, it could be that. I don't know.
Could be that, yeah. No, I thought it was the toothpaste. But anyway, this one comes from Jordy 2 for Life. How's Ferdinand? Did he miss you? And
I'm not going to say his name because he is just literally 2 yards away. Because he'll wake up. But I did after about the third day. I started to miss just like family members and obviously the dog, because the dog goes everywhere with us. But I got pictures sent and all this sort of stuff back and forth, and that was making him miss more. And when I got home, he was literally all over us, didn't want to leave us. And I like the fact that my dog is proper loving as well. So I like that because I'm a softie at heart as well. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah. Johnny was in the chat earlier. Lee's dedication to NUFC isn't as good as what he makes out. If anything, I think he should be doing more while supporting NUFC. Bit of tongue in cheek there, Johnny.
How many games has Johnny been to this season? That's all I'll say.
New rivalry.
Lee, you're welcome on our team. Johnny's brother.
I fly to Saudi on my own, and I go to America to watch all these games. I spend $3-4 grand, and I sleep in my car. I've got no commitment to the club, none at all.
Lisa asked the question, what was your highlight of the trip?
Oh, that's a great question. I haven't been asked that. There's a few, really. The Atlanta Stadium, meeting American fans, obviously seeing Newcastle out there as well. Do you know, it's always the funny stuff. So do you know what? It's at the forefront of my mind. It's been stuck on that course for 18 hours because it was frustrating, but I'll always laugh at it now because it's happened. It's past. So also, when you went to America, what happened? I got stuck on a course for 18 hours. That's what I've been asked at work the last few days. And they're all like, what? You got stuck on a coach? Yeah, my flight got cancelled. And that's like a story in itself. It's making those memories of whatever happened. And yeah, so it's a strange one, but actually that is a negative turned into a highlight. Being stuck on a course for 18 hours to watch my club because I'm not committed.
Yeah.
Johnny.
I love how you just dropped a name at the end.
Another Jonathan asks, on a scale of 1 to 10, what are you giving Sprint Airlines?
Do you know what the offer is? Steve got compensation on his, so he was lucky. But because they cancelled they delayed it, and then they delayed it and then cancelled because there was storms coming, but the storms didn't even hit her. So what they've offered me was a £50 voucher, $50 voucher, which is what, 35 quid? So I was messaging the back saying, well, wait a minute, I'm a tourist. I don't live in the UK. I need to give us something else. I mean, you just made me lose a flight and I just had to sit on a bus for 18 hours because I'm sorry, this is all we can offer you. So I did actually think about making a video just on Spirit Airlines and turn the comments off and just blast them. But I thought, no, that might go a little bit viral. So I thought I better not. I have done that with the hotel in Barcelona.
Yeah, I thought of doing that as well. If someone really pisses me off in the future, I'm going out with the video. I'm going rogue. Sorry, Pete, I'm going rogue.
Put it on the Facebook page, because now the Facebook page is massive. I was going to put it on there. I was going to put it on Twitter. I was going to go on Instagram, and all this sort of stuff. Because I was not very happy, as you can imagine, stuck. Because every single train and flight was for the next day was after the game when we arrived. So yeah, I seen a video on TikTok where Spirit Airlines actually loses its engine power for about 5 seconds. So maybe it's a good thing I didn't get on that flight.
Jesus Christ, man. I just want to steal a question from you guys just for a second. And again, this is not just for you, Lee. This is for Daz and everyone in the chat. And it's about the upcoming season. Daz, we'll only get you to answer one section of this because it might take away from what we're going to do in a previous show. But I want to know, Lee, in your opinion, what do you want to see in terms of progress on and off the pitch for Newcastle United this season?
I think from the ownership, CEO, Peter as well, it has to be that communication. I think it was missing earlier this week. That was the first sign that can't become a habit. That has to be a regular thing because they've been fantastic. I know Darren Neal's changed it, but that has to be a regular thing where they listen to the fans, because I felt like they didn't for the first time. So for me, that has to be a continued thing. I think the women's is a big thing this year. I've been missing them as well, strangely enough, because I cover them. So I'll be the next 3 or 4 women's games bringing content for that. I think that's a big thing with them going professional. I think that's a huge thing for women's sport. So that'll be interesting to see how they get on with the pressure as well, because I think Becky will now be under pressure now, especially if everybody going professional. But in terms of growth, I think it's fan engagement for us as fans. I think that's all we can ask off the pitch to feel connected. So obviously everyone in America feels that. So they're doing a fantastic job. I think on the pitch is going to be extremely difficult to get top 4 once again, because I think we'll finish 5th, unfortunately. If I'm being a bit negative, but I don't actually think it's a negative, because it means that we'll have European football season after season. I think that has to be priority. If Newcastle were to drop out the top 4, and let's face it, we've got a really, really tough start. We might be sitting mid-table by the time Champions League comes around in mid-September because of the tough start. Just get off Eddie Howe's back. I was a little bit surprised when Yasser Al-Rumayyan said I expect a top 4. I was like, whoa, because I didn't expect top 4, but he did. And I was like, whoa, is he under a bit of pressure here? So expectations, look, we've got top 4, brilliant, but let's not kick off if we do drop out, because we can win the Europa League. If we drop into the Europa League, we can go back in the Champions League. So I think for me, it has to be continue with European football, because that's where the money is. It'll be tough with all the games, especially we have a domestic cup run. I think we need one in the FA Cup. I think that's because that's been missing for the last few years, because that's probably more for the older generation. But I'm excited. I'm excited for all the travel. I would like to see the club help with that side of stuff as well. More engagement. You know how they had all the fan events? Why can't they have that in Madrid, or they have one in Barcelona, or whichever draw we get? Why can't you have that? Or why can't you have more at home? Because it's all right doing it in America, make it look good and tick a few boxes, but you've got to start doing that back in the UK. Can it be a random, it's I don't know, the 9 bar, Shiraz bar, whatever, upstairs, downstairs? Could you have Shea Given there, or a current footballer, and it's a ballet? That needs to continue, I think, that engagement. So for me, on the pitch, European football, off the pitch, keep up the engagement, and then hopefully I'm excited when the fan zone does eventually start getting built. And yeah, that's what I think.
That's obviously we've got a show coming up where we're going to talk about predictions and all the rest of it. But from your perspective, what do you want to see? There we go, Premier League loaded predictions coming very, very soon.
Sunday, 7:30.
There you go. What do you want to see, or what do you see as progress off the pitch And you've obviously heard from Lee's perspective, but what do you see as progress off the pitch next season for Newcastle?
Short answer would be more the same, really, because they are. You can see bit by bit, week on week, month on month, they are adding to what they have. I don't have a detailed answer like Lee has there, but I think they are making strides toward. Like, I know you've also got some cutouts from the interview with Peter Silverstone as well, and I'd like us moving to we're going to change shirt supplier in next season. Give us more details on that close to the time. Just suppose, keep us more informed. And they did drop the ball a bit with the whole ticketing thing, but I was impressed the way that how quickly they turned it around. And there he is. There's Ferdinand.
Yeah, I knew you were
at the
going
start of the show.
There you go. And he's not going to everything up. Destruction.
Like a whirlwind tornado, wakes up and just destroys everything.
At least he listens to you more than Steve, though.
Yeah, I know. Steve just listens to people. I know, bless him. But yeah, no, I would agree. I think something I've missed off there. Sorry, Daz. I think growing the commercial side, I think that's important as well. I think because if we have more money, we've got more to play with. I think that's also important for on the pitch as well.
Yeah, I'll wrap that up in that question there, Peter, as well. Just yeah, they are progressing bit by bit. It's going to take time. They've come an awful long way, considering what they were left with to where they are now. It is pretty remarkable. They are allowed to drop things now and again, and especially if they turn it around like as quick as they did, to some degree.
But also enjoy the Champions League music.
Yes. Exactly. I said that in the podcast there during the week. I said the two things I'm looking forward to is the Champions League draw on the 31st of August, and the first time the Champions League music is played at St James's Park. There's no matter what club you support, that is the game to watch that night. War flags will be out in full force, and it's just going to be absolutely spectacular.
I would love to see. I've said this before in another video. Dortmund away, war flags against the wall.
Oh, yes.
That is a battle in itself off the pitch.
Yeah.
That has to happen. If we get Dortmund away, we've got to all contribute and help to get war flags and match it. That'll be unreal.
That would be class. That would be class. And you know they'd appreciate it as well, 100%.
Yeah,
like they would appreciate the effort that we do, because you know for a fact everyone in Europe watches Newcastle's games because they look at the fans, they look at the atmosphere, they want to be a part of it. There are fans that will be desperate. Well, we're talking about how desperate we are to go to the likes of Dortmund and Madrid and all these top teams in the Champions League and all the rest of it. But actually, they're just as desperate to come to us. They want to feel the atmosphere that they've been watching on TV. So it'll be interesting to see how that falls down. But I have to say, Lee, there's lots that are sort of agreeing with you with regards to your predictions on the pitch. One or two saying, I think we should be finishing higher. I think Tom Dixon said he's very optimistic. He thinks we'll finish third in the league, and one or two in agreement with him. So lots of different opinions there. But the vast majority.
I'm hoping I'm wrong. I said eighth last year.
Yeah.
I hope I'm wrong once again.
I said between 10th and 8th would be progression. I was dead wrong, and like you, I'm very, very happy that I was wrong about that. But look, we have 330 in the chat, and we didn't set a target then at the beginning of the show, so we apologise that we didn't set that target. But what do you think, Daz? 350 target likes?
400.
400.
Yeah. I know we were rapid turnaround in shows as well, so it doesn't give people an awful lot of time to catch them all. But 400 people can do 400. Yeah, why not?
400. Everyone in the chat, 330 in there and rising. On click right now. Geordie Mick was absolutely right. Just said it a second ago. Just take the chat 1 second, Daz. Yeah. Geordie Mick said, "Hit the likes, folks. Takes a second and means a lot," and he is not wrong. It means the world to us by just clicking that like, and it makes a massive difference. A few more questions, Lee, before we let go. Is that right?
Yep. Let's go over it. Before we do, I want to say happy birthday to Chippers. Chippers says he's 33 today, but a lot of people are disagreeing.
I just meant to say that, isn't it?
Yeah, he just made up that age just to piss me off. But
the review apparently said he was 50 or 55.
Yeah, this was 60. There was higher, lower. Yeah, get your answers in now.
Chippers, man.
Also, John asked about your jersey league. I know you said it at the start, but tell us what it is.
It's Ferrari F1, Formula 1. So I've got a few of them. So people think I wear the same shirt every day because I've got a few of the red ones that look similar. But big fan of Ferrari. That's what it is, F1. That's my other passion outside of football.
I've got to lie. I'm a Hamilton fan. I also like Lance Norris as well.
Oh, he's cool, isn't he, Lance?
Yeah.
See, the thing is with drivers will go, the team won't.
Yeah.
So I'm not gonna look. I was a plastic of the 90s. Schumacher went to Ferrari, and I thought, "Ooh, he's winning every race." I like these, and I support them since 1997. So there we go. So I was a plastic from 97, supporting Ferrari.
Bring back Eddie Jordan. Yeah, the green 7-Up car.
He wore a lot of yellow, didn't he?
Yeah. Oh God. Right, next question, and this one actually from Carl. Carl said it wasn't a question as such. Just wanted to say a massive thanks to Lee. My lad was handing out the wristbands for the Atlanta event, and we stopped to chat with him. Made his day. Nice one, Carl. Nice one, Lee.
Yeah, I think it's what you can do, isn't it? Your fellow Toon fan, at the end of the day, it doesn't matter whether you're on YouTube or you're just someone who doesn't like it. It's just chat football. So thank you very much. Nice words.
100%.
Next one. Then this one is a controversial. I think he says it. Leon says, controversial question: would you be in favor of a stadium share with Sunderland for a year or two if it meant St James's Park being rebuilt on site to increase capacity?
No, yeah, it can't happen. I know it's happening in Milan and whatever, but it can't happen. I think if that was to ever happen, do you know where I think we'll go? I mean, Kat wants to join us now. So it's like this looks like Farm Bill on here. I think we'll go Edinburgh. And I think it'll be Murrayfield. I know that's a 2-hour drive, but I think you can fill it because Murrayfield's massive. I just don't think Middlesbrough and Sunderland would. I don't think that'll go down well, to be honest with you. And I think it's smaller. And I think realistically, if that was to happen, I think Murrayfield. Why not? You can fill it. You get more fans in.
It's an interesting suggestion.
Leon, man. Sunderland. Really? Come on, man.
Just make you say that so you can clip it up, can't you?
Yeah.
I'll run viral for the wrong reasons.
There's clubs further down south that you'd rather.
Anymore. I came back and it's called something else. I was like, what? What's happening here? I went away and it's called Twitter. I came back, it's called X. I'm like, eh?
Yeah.
Like, what's going on here? What happens? What?
Right, we've got one from Julie. Julie asks, are you looking forward to the Amazon documentary? And of course, there's another little clip went out today, and as Craig Lee says, it's hot. Looking forward to that.
Yeah,
11th of August, I think.
I could probably say it now because Amazon, we've known about the documentary since February because they approached us and wanted some footage off us. So be interested to see if our footage gets used or not.
I'm sure it will. But like the clip went out today. The clip that I think everybody loved is obviously the build up to the Man United game and the comments that Eddie Howe made, and it says on there, "I'm going to do something that I rarely do," and he talks along the lines of what he said with regards to Eric Ten Hag and Man United. And one thing I'll say, boys, and you probably agree with this, is that boy did it work. Because we destroyed them that day. I think they got away with the fact that it was only a 2-0 victory because we pummeled them into the ground, and every Man U fan that I've spoken to 100% agrees with that. In your opinion, boys, is seeing that clip, I don't know if I'm assuming you've seen that clip, Lee, with regards to what was put out today from Eddie Howe, and does that not solidify that he has, not only does he have the dressing room, but he's got the ability to really motivate these players and play at the absolute highest level?
Oh, when he's got a bite, he's got a bit of nastiness in him. He's used a manager for deliberate reasons to get the best out of his group. And as I say, that 2-0 was a battering. The best game probably played all season. Just a shame it wasn't 4 or 5 weeks earlier. we got the press release this morning with it. So yeah, a fantastic clip, and there's a few more coming. I think what we'll see during this, if the cat wants all the limelight, yeah. I think
At least that's what the cat's. What's the cat's name?
Oh yeah. Well, the cat's called. It's just called Coco, but the other one's called Pops. So I've got 2 cats. So put them together, it's Coco Pops.
Yeah.
I didn't name them before anyone starts. It was my daughter who named them. She called that.
Hey, don't pass it off, Lee.
So one's called Coco and the one's called Pops. But the Amazon stuff I'm looking for, it'll be interesting to see behind the scenes as well, because you will know this as well. Naturally, you forget the camera's on you. You do.
Yeah.
So although you're all live right now and you're putting on a show, but naturally you'll forget that there's a camera on there on you all the time. So it'll be an interesting to see how the dynamics and all of that work. And obviously the club would have had to authorize the release of it as well, because there'll be some stuff that won't be allowed to go out. I'm sure they'll not allow it. But look at the NUFC media team, a lot more lenient nowadays, because obviously they wouldn't allow anything out of the club. But it's a good job that everything's went well, because if it didn't, I don't think they'll be allowed back with the doors if it didn't go well.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Another question here, and actually I'll go to this one from I Like Coffee first. It goes, I want to thank Lee and the other YouTubers who went to the USA to give us coverage of Newcastle. For most of us who were unable to travel there, watching the vids made us feel like we were there too. I second that. I watched both your videos, Lee, and Adam P's, and of course Keith Downey and Craig, a few of those as well as snippets. But no, they were just, you did feel like you were there, and I'm sure for the people in the US as well, that they'll go back and they'll see themselves on YouTube and they'll be delighted as well. So no, from everyone, I think well done to everyone that did it. As I Like Coffee says,
it's a big shout, because a lot of them are spending their own money as well. So big shout out to everybody who went out there. I spent a ton, $3,000 just to get there and back, and all the hotels, and that's not including what I spent there. So, but that's why I work, and work are really, really good with me. So they allow me to go to games and everything like that. So because if they take that ability away from me, I just wouldn't be myself at work. I wouldn't probably give me all, in all honesty, if I was restricted.
Yeah.
So I've got to thank Sky for that as well.
No, fair play. PDK, shout out to PDK as well. Hope you're well, buddy. Who is your front three for Villa?
Honestly, it's like a fucking zoo in here.
In the chat as well.
The dog's getting jealous now because I'm stroking the cat, and the cat, oh yeah, the dog was literally just there looking at us. Front three. Oh, this is a tough one, because who do you play up top? These are the good decisions, the tough decisions.
Who do you go for up top?
Me, I'll go Isaac.
Who you go for up top?
I had this question in Irish Mag's chat today, and I said, because people were talking about their fantasy football team, who will I put in the 3 Newcastle players if they're going to put them in? And I was saying, watch the Sella Cup, because Eddie, what he did last year, he played his keeper and defence in one game, and his first choice and attack, his first choice attack in the second game, or something like that. So I go Isaac, but I know people are saying that Wilson has a great record against Villa. I go Isaac.
Isaac
I think Isaac has to nail this season. But, Isaac came in, January, February, and they got the best out of Callum Wilson as well. So it's a great problem to have. And hopefully that does, because, after Harry Kane, you'd probably say Wilson, probably maybe second choice England striker as well. So he doesn't want to sit on the bench. So it's an interesting one, I think. And I think there will be Miggy on the right. And then on the left, I got the funny feeling Michael Barnes.
See, that's an interesting one, because obviously you've got Gordon, you've got Joe Linton.
I think Joe Linton will be centre mid. I know you can go over there, and it might be a little bit too soon for Willock to start, because he's only just. I know he's been out in America, but he's only just come back, a bit like Kraft. I think it's a bit too short for these two lads to play in 2 weeks' time, but that's what I'll go.
Longstaff
as well. So. But I wouldn't mind if it's Gordon over Barnes. I think give or take. But I think if both played the full 38 games, Barnes gets him more goals, and that's why he's brought in.
Do you think, though, obviously a question for both of you, do you think that the emergence, to be fair, actually, to coin a phrase, has just put this in there as well. He put Anderson too. So in relation to that, do you think the emergence of Anderson might mean that Joe Linton is hoyed out onto the left? Because Joe Linton plays on the left of a midfield three, but so does Anderson. And when he's played in pre-season. So does that become a talking point in the build-up to Villa, in your opinion?
Oh, do you know what's brilliant? We're not having a discussion about Nabil Bentaleb playing centre midfield anymore. These great ones about, wow, what good problems we have now in centre midfield and in right wing, left wing, because we've got, I think the squad depth is better and it will get better. So, I was a little bit sad about ASM going, but there'll be another player next season who will think, I don't really want him to go, but you understand why he has to go. So it's competition for places, and as I say, there's a lot of games. There's going to be injuries, going to be a loss of form. Anthony Gordon has played a lot of football. He's not had a rest, same as Tonali. Will both of them suffer a burnout? Do they need taken out for 2-3 games towards like autumn winter times? So it's an interesting. You mentioned Elliot Anderson. He's had an unreal pre-season, absolutely brilliant. So is Lewis Miley, but be interesting to see what he does for them. But both of those lads can go on the B list on the UEFA list, so it doesn't affect the squad. So, but Elliot Anderson has a little bit more versatility, whereas Miley is literally just a centre midfielder. So Anderson can go out on the left as well. So it's options, and it's what we want.
Pete, you're not going to want to hear this. First of all, is that there's a lot of talk about bringing back the zebra, but we won't go there. We won't go there. But no, I wanted to. We'll move on.
Where's the magpie?
No magpie. I can't find the magpie. But I think we talked about one topic off air last night. I don't think we talked about it on air because I didn't watch it at the end of the show. But we bring that up with it's a devil's advocate question. Pete. Yeah. So, see what Lee's thoughts are. You're getting worried now. The question is, right, Harry Kane, if he ends up at Bayern Munich, right, Spurs are with a lot of money. They need a striker. Would they consider going for taking, not that we're offering him up, but taking Callum Wilson from us? And then what do we do? Where do we go?
You're asking me that?
That's just a conspiracy theory there.
Just put it into the air and just see where.
I don't think Wilson is valued high because of his age now. Because he's now hitting his 30s, so he's not going to go for crazy money that Isak would. Isak could quite easily go for 80 million or something like that. But I don't think Wilson will. And I think that's realistically, if Newcastle sell him, can you get a player at the caliber of Callum Wilson for a similar kind of price? You're not, are you? Because of his age. So I think the club, it'll have to be something stupid. Like, realistically, how much is Wilson? If you sold Wilson now, 30 million? Because of his age? Would it be any more?
What did we sign him for from Bournemouth? 20 million?
Yeah,
20, yeah. For me, he's better now than what he was at Bournemouth. I'd want more money for him.
You want more because of his age. Probably valued at 30, but obviously you would negotiate because you know that Spurs have all that daft money if they want to sell Kane, so you know that. So that's in your leverage. It's the English tax, as if you call it, but
and because it's Spurs.
And Spurs.
Higher. Daniel Levy.
I think the problem is if you lose Isak, have you got a goal scorer? You haven't. If you lose Wilson, you've got Isak. I think if it's give or take, I think you've got to have both of them realistically. Because if you can sell one, what's the point? Because you're not going to financial fair play. It weakens us basically, but I can't see Spurs doing that.
He's got 1 year left on his contract.
Again, his age and 1 year left. So I think he'll stay. I think it'll be an interesting Wilson.
Yeah, we're not offering him up, and we're just I think Pete was your suggestion that what if this happened? And
I would love Harry Kane to go just so Spurs a weekend.
I think it might have been Chris actually that mentioned it.
What's that?
About the Callum Wilson potentially moving. I mean, Spurs potentially moving for Callum Wilson. I think he did mention that. But it's a great discussion because, like, not to say it's going to happen. One or two are put in the chat that it could be a younger striker that they go for. Vlahovic has been linked, but I think they're looking to swap deal potentially with Chelsea, with Lukaku going to Juventus and Vlahovic going to Chelsea, which would be a good move for them. The one thing I'll say is that there's not many strikers around pedigree of scoring goals like week in, week out. Callum Wilson is that guy. He got 18 last season. I wouldn't put it past him getting double figures next season, whether it's 10, 15 goals. And I wouldn't put it past Isak getting more than he got. I think he got 10 last season. I wouldn't put it past him getting more than what he got last season, because he'll have a full season under his belt. So I agree with your point, Lee. I think he might be too valuable to move on. But what do we do? I think we talked about 1 year left on his contract.
That domino effect, because if Mbappe goes to Real Madrid, because that's probably, and it is a domino effect. So if he goes to Munich or whatever, there'll be a domino effect without a shadow of doubt of strikers if Kane was to move, because Spurs have got all that money. But Spurs are all. I don't think they're a threat this season to us at all. Even with Harry Kane there, I think they've got one world-class player. Son 2 maybe on his day, but he had an awful season last season. So
I was on a channel, Lee, earlier on. It was a Man United channel, and they asked about predictions and all the rest of it. And there was one fan, I think he was an Arsenal fan, surprisingly, that said he thought that Tottenham, if they kept Kane, could get into the Champions League. I personally don't believe that would be the case. Even with Kane, without Kane, I don't know what they're going to do. In my opinion, I think it could be a really difficult season for them. But I have to say, just really quickly,
received.
There is a super chat in the house. Massive thanks again. 2 nights in a row. Dominic, thank you very much.
Cheers, Dominic.
£99 or 99.99. Amazing job, guys, and great to have Leon. Thank you very much, Dominic. Much appreciated, and thank you for all your support. Just to give a shout out, if you haven't subscribed to the channel, we've got less than 80 subs away from 6k, so help us get on the way to 6k as soon as possible. And whilst you're there, click like to the channel for tonight. And if you're new to the channel, have a watch back of some of the shows that we've had on this week and the weeks previous, because we've got good content and lots more content coming forward. But Dominic, thank you very much for your support.
That's your fuel money at St. James's Park, isn't it?
What's that?
That's your fuel money at St. James's Park, isn't it?
Yeah. No, it's to be fair, with the cost of living, it's probably more. The amount of fuel it is now, and I'm not even going to go into that as what yours is, because yours we're looking at flights with you.
Yeah, well, actually, the last time remember the last time I went over, my flight was cheaper than Chris's train.
That's true.
Crazy. And I was there for the game. Chris only turned up for the last 10 minutes because his train was late. Remember?
Oh yeah. We'll have to talk about that. We'll have to talk about rematch. Yeah, we'll probably do that off air, Lee. And if you've got a little bit of time afterwards, rematch.
I am miles behind in the chat. Apologies to the chat. With only 2 of us, it's hard to keep up. So with the chat, especially when you're chatting as well and engaged in the conversation. But yeah, thanks to everyone who's messaged. I haven't got to yet, but we'll try and get there.
Yeah, we'll do another couple of questions if you want to round it off, because Lee's been amazing and stayed with us for a little bit extra. So if there's any couple, in fact, there's one actually that I wanted to I put to you boys yesterday. So I'll throw this out to you. What do you make of this, Lee, with regards to the touchline ban of an assistant manager being able to be in the technical area? Obviously, I put this up last night just before we finished the show. When we're not necessarily going to see this in the technical area anymore of Tyndall and Howe together. And I did put this up. You might not be able to read it, but it's the conduct in the technical area of what coaches, captains, and players should be doing in various situations. We don't need to read all the details on that. But what do you make of that news that came out the other day with regards to that?
First, it's not a witch hunt against her. It's not. I've seen everyone having a meltdown saying, "Oh, it's because it's Newcastle."
Sky that.
Do you not think we're the biggest affected though? Because if you look at it with all the other managers,
they stand together all the time and chat.
Exactly.
And it's really only Graham Jones only pops up every so often, but those two literally stand and talk all game. That's going to be quite difficult because that's natural for them. Whereas most other clubs, I can't even think of another assistant manager who does that, to be honest. You might get an assistant manager who comes up and effing blinds and tells someone you're not doing whatever, but I think we're the only ones that have 2 up constantly. So that's going to be tough. That just mentally trying to not do that as well, or how they're going to alternate as well. It hinders us. I think that is right, because that's a tool in our weapon that Eddie Howe likes. It's not a witch hunt against us. I think we are trying to improve the behaviours, because there is a few loose cannons in the Premier League, and people who go over the line a little bit, literally. But it's not working for us. It's a negative, but it's petty, I have to say. But I understand why they're trying to bring it in to stop all the bullshit on the touchline, and also you've got to remember that it'll be interesting that we're going to have 100 minutes per game potentially. Is another one, because they want to stop now. And it affects us because, let's be honest, we did slow the game down when we were winning games. We were clever, we were cute. We're going to have to think of a different tactic now if we're winning 1-0, because the referee's just going to add that on. And it can go on up to 10 minutes. You've seen it in the Men's World Cup. So it's 2 things, really, that we're going to have to come up with, and look at back at how, and how if Tyndall has to go up for 5 minutes and swap over, or one of them goes in the stands like McLaren used to. I don't know. Magpie Brandon Cat wants some dinner. I think she does, because she's very vocal. I don't know if you can hear her on the mic. She's meowing her head off. So it'll be interesting, but it's petty, let's be honest.
Definitely. Now, you're the same mindset, Daz. It's a petty situation to be in with the technical area.
Yeah, it is. It's just a bit stupid. Like, he's not doing. Like Jason Tyndall hasn't been involved in any skirmishes. I know he has a few words on the pitch and stuff, but no, he's not doing anything like compared to the Klopp situation, running down and pulling the hamstring on his way running back. But no, it's lastly you said, I do get what they're trying to do. They're trying to, and it's not just picking on Newcastle. It's just the way it was broadcast that it happened to pick out the Newcastle game as an example of that. But no, look at. It's just every year there's a different rule or 2 that come in, and we just have to live with it. Adjust.
Definitely. Right. Sorry if we've not been able to get to your questions tonight. We always try and get to them. And Dad, you've been fantastic trying to keep up with the chat. The chat has been amazing tonight. So many good points, but also great questions for Lee as well. And of course, Lee, absolute pleasure to have you on. Great to just chat. It feels like we're just kind of sitting in Shearers, just having a natter away about various different topics, which always makes for
No, it's good. Thanks for having us on. It's good to have a chat, and good to chat about like winning charity games as well.
Hold on. I wanted to hold on just a couple of minutes after the show ends, because I want to talk to you about this, because this ain't over. This ain't over. That is for sure. But
Rocky Part 2.
Definitely. But Dad, I don't know if you want to hit the sponsors before we sign off.
Let's do it. So shout out to H2O Bathroom Design Co., the Northeast's largest supplier of Velcro and Botch bathroomware. Team Valley Gateshead, over 20 years established, run by the family. Get down to the showroom on 11th Avenue, Team Valley Estate, Gateshead. And the cat's getting a shower there. And yeah, here's some of the beautiful bathrooms that are on offer via H2O Bathroom Design Co. And go check them out. Also, shout out to the radiatorshed.com as we put Lee in jail for wearing the Ferrari top. But yeah, here are some of the radiators on offer there. Contact Russ, mention Loaded, you'll get the Loaded discount, and he will sort you out with some fabulous radiators. And through his other company, the Install Works, he'll get them installed as well. So give him a shout and he'll sort you out. That's the Radiator Shed. Also, we should mention what's coming up. Next, Unloaded. Next up, as we mentioned earlier, the moment we've no shows planned until Sunday, but that could change. But yeah, we're back with the Premier League Loaded Predictions show, and yeah, we're going to make that a fun show as well. We have a guest coming on there, someone you haven't seen for a while, Pete, and maybe I have let the cat out of the bag there with the name of the guest, but There he is. There's a cat. But yeah, we are back on Sunday night. That should be a bit of crack. Tune in for that Sunday night 7:30. Monday night, Pete. Tell us what's happening.
We're back, Battleground Europe. Let the games begin. We've got representatives from a number of these clubs. And yes, Lawless will be back to talk all things West Ham. They're still clawing onto Europe by the skin of their teeth. Chelsea won the Conference League, so he's going to be waxing lyrical about his side's chances, or will he? They've had a difficult one.
Can I put in?
Yeah, go for it.
When you got Dan on, Dan used to support Newcastle.
He did. He's been on the channel so many times. He used to have the top. He was a Newcastle fan. He even tried to do the Geordie accent.
Jamaican.
It sounded more Jamaican than Geordie, but he tried his best.
That's why I thought you might not have mentioned and give him a little stick from me. He's standing down. Man's a quality lad, isn't he?
He is. He's a top
Hey,
man.
Pete. We could draft him in. He might be around when we talk that thing about Lee after. He might be around. We could bring in a ringer.
He could well be. That's for sure. Hold on just a couple of seconds after the show. But look, everyone in the chat, you've been amazing. Thank you so much for sticking with us and being a part of tonight's show with Lee. Talking about not only the signing of Tino Livramento, he's on his way, medical potentially tomorrow, and also looking at Lee's obviously experience in the United States for the summer series. Guys, we are there, and there's. I think you want to throw the question out.
Yeah.
What's the question?
The question is, how do you like that? Cheers, Lee.
Drink it, like weed and tell me you like that.